You're done.
All right. Welcome in, everybody. Welcome to the Women's Wellness Network and welcome to our guest today, Dawn. Hello, Dawn. How are you doing?
I am fantastic, Tammy. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you. I'm feeling a bit of a kinship here. You've got a big, beautiful, gorgeous tree behind you, and I've got some trees behind me. I feel like we're,
Yes,
in the sacred garden. I'd like to call the Women's
I
Wellness
love that.
Network. Yeah, it's a bit of a sacred garden, and we're all wildflowers here. Well, or we're all different seeds. We don't know what we are yet. We're pushing up through that manure, and we're blossoming, and we're becoming something incredible. Right, all together. Just imagine this beautiful field of wildflowers, and that's all us, I think, ultimately. So, welcome here, Dawn. We love to start off, first of all, by finding out where it is you are in the world.
I am currently in snowy, cold Kentucky out in the eastern US. It
Lovely.
is -2 right now.
Oh, oh my gosh. And Fahrenheit?
Yeah.
Oh, that's a little
Yes.
bit chilly.
Yes.
That's
Yeah.
very cold.
And
I'm here in Canada
yeah.
and we do Celsius, and I think today is, I don't know, minus 21.
Oh my
But it's
gosh.
Celsius. It's
Oh,
different. It's probably,
yeah.
you're probably colder than we are here. I'm guessing.
Yeah. We definitely got a cold snap and I'm ready to go further south. South.
Well, at least we have the internet and we can, dream, we can meditate and pretend we're somewhere else sometimes, because sometimes that
Absolutely.
helps, yeah, warm ourselves from the inside out. Okay, so we're not here to talk about the weather, although that is one of my favorite things. We're here to talk about you, Dawn. We want to know who Dawn is. What are you doing out there in the world, Dawn?
Well, Tammy, I keep pivoting in my business because we are humans and we keep evolving. And my spiritual life has really blossomed and transformed my everyday normal life. So I went from 2 decades of health and wellness, helping people, kick their butts into shape in such a fun way, Zumba, all the things, and then transitioned into more mind, body, soul connection. And what that looks like today is I'm a women's empowerment speaker as well as an embodiment mentor. And I help you really just get in tune with yourself, bringing self love and self awareness to the forefront so that you can master emotional intelligence. Because a woman who is in control of her emotions can skyrocket her personal and professional life and take a show moment into a miracle. And
Right?
that's the gist of it.
That's amazing. Well, I think we've all been there, and some of us are still there. Some of us are, oh, way there, like trying to figure out what to do, where to go, who to see, how to move forward. So that's why we have people like you, Dawn, to help us do that. So, what when you practice with do you only work with women or do you work with men also?
Well, it started out working with everyone, but I felt more drawn to women because we all know as healers, and even when we share advice with a personal friend, we share from our own personal experiences. So for me to really connect with my clients, women is where it's at because I've been there with the trauma of the sexual abuse. I've been there with the insane periods and endometriosis pain. I've been there with POS, all the things that women tend to, experience more than men. So while I do work a little bit with men, and if I get a man as a client, I obviously dive deep in with him. However, women is my general target there because we just share so much.
Right. Well, I mean that is the thing. It's the truth. We aren't
Mhm.
exactly the same creatures. We have different hormones. We have different cycles. We have different functions. We have children. They
Yes.
don't. We breastfeed. They don't. All sorts of things. Right. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's just the way the world is kind of going. Women are finally being raised up and figuring it out for themselves that we sometimes we need
Yeah.
to be advocates for ourselves. Sometimes we need to step outside the normal ways of the Western world, as we mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that we can heal and grow. And can you give us a little idea? If somebody came to you, how would you start with them? What would you do?
Well, the first step in my process is to get you on a breakthrough call. And during this breakthrough call, it's a 40-minute deep dive into your energy and what your goals are for short term and long term, and then where you're currently at. I am able to tap into energy no matter where it is in the world. So, what I do is I actually bring you into the galactic world and open up all the universal portals. We connect as your highest self in the very beginning of this call, so that as you are in deep conversation with me, you are communicating as your highest self for your best and highest good. This takes us into our emotional intelligence, and this actually breaks through that human being barrier known as our limiting beliefs. So, this helps you shift your energy and shift your perception of how you're viewing a certain situation or a certain goal. And then we actually are able to shift your perspective about that, which is how you feel about that specific situation. So by the end of that 40-minute breakthrough call, you already have inspired, actionable steps to get you further down into where you want to do for your 2025 goals. And then from there, we also deep dive into whether a one-on-one workshop or a one-on-one session or even my self-mastery program would be better for you.
Well, there you go. You have some options. Options are always good. Options are always good,
Yes.
especially for somebody who's just starting out, maybe like it's not so overwhelming
Mhm.
if there's a few different options. I think sometimes that's the thing that hinders us instead of, we know we need to move forward, but we're afraid or we're overwhelmed
Mhm.
by all the processes and all the, options that are available. And I think there's well, geez, I don't even know how many modalities there are out there these days.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways that we can connect with people. So, what are the things that brought you to do the kind of work that you do? Like, you're not doing regular, you're not doing Reiki, you're not doing, energy healing in the other, a typical way, let's say, in
Right.
Western world. How did you decide that this was how you would work? Um, did it just come to you, or did you have an experience, or how did you decide that this was going to be the way you wanted to be in the world?
Well, that is a great question, Tammy. And I am taken to the moment of when I had my heart attack. And 2 days after my 43rd birthday, I had a heart attack.
Mm.
And my husband was actually working out of state at the time. I didn't know at the moment if I was having a stroke or a heart attack because it was so intense. And being in the health and wellness industry, I was also CPR certified, all the things. So it's like I know the things, but at that moment, I wasn't sure because of how intense it was. So I'm going to share with you right now some actionable steps that I did that made the doctors just like mind blown. Okay. And this is coming full circle into where I'm at and how I work with my clients. So, step one, I cleansed my aura. People
Okay.
are like, what the heck is an aura? An aura is an energy layer that is 7 layers deep, and it can either act as a sponge and absorb the energy of the room and the situation. And then it will seep into your own energy and you'll feel your mood kind of shift and change. Or it can act as an energetic boundary and a barrier to protect your own energy. So the very first thing I did was I cleansed my aura. I literally started at my chakra at the top, which is your crown, and I went all the way down to my root chakra, which is at the base of your tailbone. And then I threw the energy back into Mother Gaia. Another quick way you can do this is clapping. When you
Okay.
clap, yeah, when you clap, you ever notice when you're clapping, everybody's like, oh, feeling so good. And,
Lovely.
your energy shifts. You're breaking up the tension in that energy auric field. And there's meridians, energy meridians and chakras in your hands. So as you're clapping, you're activating the good energy, the good feels in your hands. So next time you have a hard day at the office, just sit there and clap, and you can get that to go away. So the second thing I did when I was having my heart attack, full on heart attack, wah wah wah, pain, pulsating, everything. After I cleansed my aura, I called in my highest self and I simply stated all seven of my chakras: root, sacral, solar plexus, heart, throat, third eye, and crown. Open them all up, activated them by simply stating it and having that intention. I called in my highest self, my past loved ones, my entire spirit team, anybody who was there to help me for my best and highest good, because I'll take all the help I can get at this point. I am in a life or death situation. I have no idea what's going on. I'm in a heart attack. So the third thing I did was I started a 4 count breathing technique, which I want you all to do with me right now. I think it would be fantastic for you to feel the shift in your energy. So I want you to take a nice deep inhalation through your nose. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, open mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's do that one more time. Inhale. Exhale. One more. Inhale. Love. Exhale. So now what I did in that moment and what you're all doing with me, you lessened the amount of oxygen that your heart is requiring, even in a stressful moment. The cardiologist told me that was the best thing I could have done, because instead of panicking and staying with that shallow breathing, I mean, I still had shallow breathing, but I was still able to calm my heart, calm my nervous system. And what that did is it saved my heart from further damage. Now, fast forward 6 months post heart attack, they took me off the statin, which is like unheard of, because I use a Rife machine and healing frequencies that are DNA specific. So I utilize healing frequencies. Everything is energy. Post 1 year, they took me off the blood thinner, which is again unheard of, because I've been running these frequencies and I've been doing the things that my body is wanting me to do. And that is going to be different for every individual. So when I have a client come to me, especially when they have a lengthy medical history, I help them get in tune with self love and self awareness, because this can change the trajectory of your well being. When you do muscle testing, you stand with bananas at your stomach. Ask your body, is this good for me? And you'll let your body sway and say yes or no. So when we really just deep dive into what our own body is signaling and trying to communicate to us, it can really change your personal and your professional life, because you can utilize this in decision making as an entrepreneur as well.
Right. And there's so many people who have never heard of it, never heard of muscle testing, know nothing about it, but definitely it is one of the easiest and
Yes.
most reliable things that you could possibly do for yourself. Learning how to listen to yourself and get those clues, those cues, either or.
Yeah, both.
Yeah, right, to what your body's wanting, what it needs in that moment. And as you said, everybody's different, and we need to learn to listen to whatever that is inside of us that says, Tammy, today this is not a banana day. You don't need that, you don't
Yeah.
need that, whatever it is, right? Maybe you need something else. But yeah, learning how to do that is
Mhm.
amazing. And what an incredible story to have gone through that yourself in midst of heart attack.
Yeah.
Was it just an intuitive thing that told you to do it, or was it something that you learned and it just, it came back to you in that moment?
Well, I've always kind of been intuitive, but at a younger age, I never really understood it because I wasn't around anyone who was woo, so to speak, or, did anything like that. Um, Back when I was caring for my dad, I had started developing, like, grief can wreck you if you let it. Grief can absolutely wreck you. And that's when I actually started one of my spiritual awakenings when I was doing home hospice for my dad. So I learned to really lean in to those intuitive hits or that gut feeling. I used this when I was caring for my dad. So if there was certain things that I didn't feel were jiving that the doctor was saying or, whatever. And for some reason, and I don't know why, but for some reason I retain medical jargon very easily. Like I don't, even my sister was like, yeah, you got to go to his appointments with him because I'm like, that's fine. Um, but yeah, so I paid attention. So even when I was in the emergency room with my heart attack, I was by myself. I was by myself. And now I didn't even call my mom and my sister. They live in a different state. I did not even call them until the next day, which is probably on one side very horrible of me, but on the second side, I was responsible for my health
Right.
in those moments. And I was in such chaos. I didn't know what was going to happen. So I knew I had to use my voice
Right.
and I knew I needed to speak up and I needed to pay attention as much as I could. So that being said, I want to circle back to the breathing technique. When they had the blood pressure cuff on me, I utilized my intuition. You had asked about the intuition. I leaned so hard into that. They wanted to put me on blood pressure medicine to get my blood pressure down while I was having the heart attack. And I said, absolutely not. I am extremely sensitive to energy and I'm in a chaotic emergency room. Of course, it's going to be raised. So, again, this brings us back to self awareness. When you can be in those aha moments of, oh, this is affecting my energy, you can rein back in that emotional intelligence and you can then further deepen your connection to your intuition, your spidey senses, I like to call them.
Right.
Um, in an everyday world, people call them taste, touch, smell. All you're doing is listening to those senses a little bit deeper. That's all it is. It doesn't have to be complicated. But I told the nurses, no, please wait. Give me a second. It was cycling every 7 minutes. So the next time it ran, I did my 4 count breathing technique that I just did with all of you. Like that, my blood pressure was back down with zero medicine.
Amazing.
So, yeah, being able to trust your gut feeling, that inner knowing, it's huge. How many times, think back for a second. When was the last time you had what I like to call an intuitive hit and you didn't listen to it? And then in hindsight, you're like, I should have. How many times do you need to tell yourself, I should have? I should have listened to myself before you start trusting yourself more than you're trusting others.
Right. Right. We've got
Yeah.
all, it's
Yeah.
all in there. It's just a
Yeah.
matter of reclaiming it, I guess, ultimately. It seems, our Western society, as we mentioned, has,
Yeah.
it's not the same as the other ones out there, are ancient ways,
Mm-hmm.
Eastern medicine, anything that is led by ourselves instead of led by somebody on the outside of us
Yeah.
that is the medicine, that is the
Yeah.
healing. And as we know, I mean, not everybody is privy yet, but
Right.
that just having that awareness that we are
Mm-hmm.
capable is a start. At least it's a start. And hopefully, most people don't have to get into some kind of uncomfortable situation like a heart attack or something,
Yeah.
definitely you're going to go one way or the other, and not to panic and not to,
Mm-hmm.
because if you do panic, then you lose that little bit of self awareness, self direction. So yeah, we need to have people like you
Mm-hmm.
that help us um, come to that place before something happens. I love, preventative measures are, of course, they're the best tool if you can avoid having to go through anything that's severely traumatic or an illness or anything like that. So having
Yeah.
some way for people to be able to learn about themselves and come to this knowledge is so important. So, with that being said, how can our women connect with you?
Yes, I have a website, dawnintuitivehealer.com. You can head over there. There's actually some free meditations that you can download on the front home page. And that helps with stress, tension, anxiety, opening up your chakras, connecting to your highest self. I also have my Facebook page, which is Dawn Reid, Reid. And then my business page is Intuitive Healer LLC. I'm also on LinkedIn and I'm trying to grow TikTok, but we know how that's going. We're not sure
Who
what's
knows what's going to
happening
happen
with
there?
TikTok,
Well,
right?
I guess that's the thing, right? There's always going to be
Yes.
something new, and there's always going to be, something falling away, as with life, as with our own journeys, right? There's some things that are meant to stay and some things that are not. So,
Yes.
Women of the Women's Wellness Network, we will make sure we put all of Dawn's information into the comments section so that you can reach out to her, find out more about what she's doing. She's got some, what do you call that? Experience with her own journey that, there's nobody can take that away. Nobody can negate that. That has happened and it's worked. And I think that is part of the thing. Just allowing, Dawn, you mentioned about woo woo. And I think science and woo woo they're all connected. It's like a ball.
Mm-hmm.
One side science, one side woo woo. And you just need to kind of filter a little bit over, um, use your
Yes.
spidey senses and your spidey webs to connect all those things, because there's value in everything that we have uncovered and discovered in our world, but some things work better for us and some things are way more efficient at uh, getting us from here to there, and I think that's super important. So Dawn, is there anything else you would like to share with us before we sign off today?
Well, Tammy, just to kind of take it full circle with self awareness and self love practices, getting in touch with your highest self and just listening to your intuition in your personal decisions and in your business, you can utilize this just by tapping in, taking those few breaths, and just asking yourself, is this what I'm meant to do? Is this the way I'm meant to share my love with the world in this moment? And if you feel nudged to go in that direction, heck yeah, stay with it. And if you don't really feel that nudge, then back off and reevaluate. And that can actually change a lot of things with your well being, your wealth, and just how you live everyday life.
Right. Yes. Yes. Living everyday life fully alive, listening and being present and doing the things
Yes.
that are right for ourselves, which is beautiful. It's
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay. Women of the Women's Wellness Network, thank you so much for watching. And of course, until next time, be well. And Dawn, thank you so much for coming and sharing your story with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you, everyone, and much love to you all.